the paradox of the tax collector and the Pharisee. Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Vanderels, one of the community pastors at Founded in Truth Fellowship. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hey, click that little bell to be notified whenever we post new content or go live every single week with our weekly church services. Also, feel free to comment below if you enjoyed this video or if you have any questions. Guys, we would love to hear from you and we love your feedback. In this Fitbit, we're going to look at the parable Jesus tells in Luke chapter 18. And this parable is about two individuals, a Pharisee and a tax collector. And let's go ahead and just read this section of scripture and get that out of the way, and then we can talk about it. Luke chapter 18, verse 9. To some who were confident of their own righteousness and looked down on everyone else, Jesus told this parable. Two men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, God, I thank you that I am not like other people, robbers and evildoers, adulterers, and even like this tax collector over here. I fast twice a week and I give a tenth of all I get. But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but beat his breast and said, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and all those who humble themselves will be exalted. So Yeshua, or Jesus, is speaking about people who find themselves frequently looking down on others, thinking themselves to be more righteous than everyone else. And here we find this character to be a Pharisee. And a Pharisee would have generally been seen as someone who was religious and possibly a leader among the common community, in contrast to, say, a Sadducee who would have been seen more of being involved with the elite sphere of demographics. So that's the setup. You have someone who keeps Torah, keeps the Sabbath, eats kosher, keeps the feast days in the Bible, and as a result of these things, thinks they're better than everyone else, thinks they're more righteous than everyone else. And I know we likely don't know anybody like that, or have likely never even met anybody like that. But yeah, and this parable is just for them. So you have this guy who loves the Bible and uses his knowledge of the Bible to justify himself and allows his own knowledge of the Bible to equip him with the permission to look down on other people. And in the story, you also have a tax collector. And this would have triggered the audience in a major way in the first century. Tax collectors would have been members of the Judean community that were seen as traitors, taking taxes from their own people to give to Rome, their oppressors. And that tax collector has come to a place where he realizes the only thing he has in life is God's mercy. So he yields under the weight of God's mercy and humbles himself before it. He beats his chest, asking for forgiveness, proclaiming he is a sinner. He is undeserving before God. But the Pharisee looks over, and instead of contrasting himself to God's mercy, justice, and holiness, he instead makes the comparison to himself and the tax collector. And he then thanks God for not allowing him to be such a sinner as the tax collector is. He looks at God and shows off that, hey, I keep Torah, I tithe, I follow the Bible, I'm awesome. And what does Jesus say? He says the tax collector walked away justified before God. Now, we know the story, and it's a humbling story. But there's a hidden paradox, because as the reader, we look at these two men, right? And we feel empathy, even sympathy for the tax collector. But after reading the story, how do we honestly feel about the Pharisee? Come on, let's be honest. And when I ask this question, it's just like Captain Akbar saying, it's a trap. As the reader, we are likely going to look down on the Pharisee in the story, right? Like we're going to read the story and we're going to say, wow, that Pharisee, man, what a jerk, right? Who does he think he is? Thinking he's better than everyone else. Who does he think he is? Looking at everyone else and thinking he's more righteous. Like he needs to, man, and the moment we engage and support and entertain those thoughts, that's the moment. That's the moment that we look down on the Pharisee and thank God that we're not like him. That is the moment we ourselves become and transform into the Pharisee in the story by looking down on the Pharisee and judging the Pharisee and contrasting ourselves to the Pharisee. So it's a paradox of self-reflection. We need to humble ourselves in such a way that we do not look down on others, even the oppressors in the world. The moment The moment that we think ourselves more righteous than the sinners that we judge, that's the moment that we become the ones in the wrong. That's the moment God sees our heart lacking the very mercy He wants to give us in order so that we can portray it to the world. So, in summary, the parable of the tax collector and the Pharisee seems to be a trap in the sense that, yes, the Pharisee judges the tax collector and in the parable is wrong for doing so. But the moment that you as the reader look upon the Pharisee with contempt, thinking ourselves more righteous than him, that is the moment that we take his place in becoming the wrongdoer in the story. Guys, if you enjoyed this message, go ahead, give it a like. It really helps the channel out when you do that, and it helps more people see this video like you. If you didn't, feel free to hit the dislike button. Please let us know what you thought in the comments below. Maybe you've never seen this paradox before. Maybe you have. We'd love to know. Let us know in the comments below. And hey, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click that little bell to be notified whenever we upload new content and whenever we go live with our weekly live stream every Saturday at 11 a.m. from our local church. Stay fit, stay founded in truth. We'll see you next time.